Images from the battlefield tell a stark story. Under fire, amid the chaos of ongoing fighting, a group of Ukrainian soldiers is seen crossing the Dnipro River, not to advance, but to surrender. The footage, released by Russia's defense ministry, shows the soldiers laying down their weapons as fighting continues nearby. Russian officials say scenes like this are becoming increasingly common. With each passing day, they claim, more Ukrainian troops are choosing surrender over continued combat. The Dnipro River, once a firm dividing line, has become a backdrop to some of the war's most symbolic moments. Russian forces say the pressure along the front line has intensified, leaving Ukrainian units isolated, exhausted, and increasingly unable to hold their positions. Moscow argues this is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader shift on the battlefield. That message was reinforced in Moscow on December 29th. President Vladimir Putin convened a meeting with Russia's top defense and security officials. The tone was firm. Addressing the military leadership, Putin claimed Ukrainian forces were retreating along the entire front line. He said Russian troops were maintaining the initiative and expanding control in key areas. According to Putin, the battlefield momentum is now decisively shifting. He credited what he described as the professionalism and resilience of Russian forces, saying their actions were forcing Ukrainian units to pull back under sustained pressure. The Russian leader also pointed to what he called mounting losses on the Ukrainian side, arguing that Kyiv's ability to sustain large-scale operations was weakening.
Sergei Viktorovich, the southern group of forces is operating quite confidently and effectively. How is the situation currently developing in your area of responsibility?
Comrade Supreme Commander, since the liberation of Seversk, the Third Army has not reduced its offensive pace. Considerat på Sprerus, Krondinus continues to fulfill its mission in the western direction with the main thrust towards.
Currently, they have successfully taken control, completing an encirclement from the north to the south. They have secured the settlement of Sviatopokrovskoye, and on the northern flank they have pushed forward to the settlement of Zakotnoye. Meanwhile, on the southern flank they have advanced to the eastern outskirts of the settlement of Bondarnaya. They continue to carry out their mission in the direction of Seversk.
What is the situation in Konstantinovka at the moment?
In Konstantinovka, Comrade Supreme Commander, units of the 3rd Army Corps continue their clearing operations in the northeastern outskirts of the populated area. They have taken control of the plant, the entire territory of the Stroisteklo factory, and are continuing the liberation of the Konstantinovka metallurgical plant.
Approximately what percentage of the city is already under our control?
It's up to 45%, Comrade Supreme Commander. If we take the northeastern outskirts into consideration, it's approximately 40%, 40-45%.
We are all perfectly aware that the liberation of Seversk and the effective work in Konstantinovka de la Sansomăstă disallows troops to create conditions for a further offensive and the capture of the entire Slaviansk-Drushkovka-Kramatorsk agglomeration and the capture of the enemy's entire defense line as well as in cooperation with the Western and Central forces to completely liberate the territory of Donbas. A crucial area, you are demonstrating a good pace. I've already had the pleasure of speaking with your subordinates and once again conveying my very best wishes and gratitude for their successful work. Mikhail Yuryevich, your forces, on the other hand, are positioned directly facing a long-established and very well-fortified enemy stronghold. Nevertheless, active operations are also being carried out by you in this very direction. How do you assess the overall situation?
Supreme Commander, the Dnipro group of forces breaking through the enemy's prepared defensive lines is advancing towards the city of Zaporizhzhia. The city of Stepnohirsk has come under the control of Russian armed forces, which served as the enemy's main defensive strong point in the direction of the regional center. Today, the liberation of Lukyanovskoye settlement was completed. The capture of Primorskoye is nearing completion. Combat operations are currently underway in the city of Orekhov, in the settlements of Novandrevka, Novoyakovlevka, Belogorye, as well as Pavlovka. Over the past 2 months, 5 populated areas have been liberated by the military grouping. At the present time, the formations of the grouping are continuing to conduct offensive operations in the Zaporizhzhia region. Forward units are located at a distance of approximately 15 kilometers from the southern outskirts of the city of Zaporizhzhia.
The report is finished.
How much? 15 kilometers?
Yes, around 15 kilometers to the edge of town.
Mikhail Yuryevich, I also want to acknowledge the effective and successful actions of your soldiers and commanders, and I ask you to convey my very best wishes to them.
Understood.
We understand, we are fully cognizant of the fact that the opposing force, situated directly in front of us, has been meticulously preparing its defensive positions there for a considerable number of years. We are well aware of the complex situation there. Nevertheless, you are successfully tackling the tasks that confront your unit. And of course, in the immediate future, it is absolutely essential to continue the offensive, working closely with the Vostok Group for the liberation of Zaporizhzhia. Thank you very much.
Got it.
Andrei Arkadievich, do you have anything to add?
No, everything is proceeding exactly as planned. It's been very dynamic, I would say, even with a certain... Valery Vasilievich reported that we're actually ahead of the pace that was originally set and anticipated, and indeed, in December we managed to achieve the maximum possible pace for the entire year.
Thank you. Esteemed comrades, the accomplishment of objectives for the liberation of Donbas, Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions is being carried out in stages, fully in accordance with the plan of the special military operation. The forces of our groupings are confidently advancing, successfully breaking through the enemy's defenses. Ukrainian armed forces units are retreating everywhere. Across the entire front, along the entire line of combat contact, commanders of army groupings have just reported on the situation. I ask that the tasks of the special military operation continue to be carried out in full accordance with the designs and plans of the General Staff. I wish to express my words of gratitude once again to all Russian military personnel who are currently carrying out combat missions along the lane of direct combat engagement at the front line. Undoubtedly, in the successes on the front of the Russian armed forces, the decisive role belongs to our soldiers and officers who, liberating the land of Donbas, daily display courage and heroism, risking their lives. I want to address them directly and underscore this point. Esteemed comrades, you, without a doubt, serve as a shining example of dedicated service to our fatherland and indeed to our motherlands. You are carrying out your combat missions for the good of our great Russia. I thank you for your valiant service to the fatherland, and I congratulate you on the upcoming New Year's.
Ukraine has not commented directly on the surrender footage or Putin's remarks, but as the war brines on, images like these are gaining attention, not just for what they show, but for what they suggest. a conflict now deep into its third year with no clear end in sight, a battlefield where exhaustion is as decisive as firepower, and a war where increasingly the images of surrender are becoming part of the daily narrative. As fighting continues, both sides insist momentum is on their side, but on the banks of the Dnipro, the reality of war is captured in a single moment, soldiers stepping out of the fight as the conflict presses on.